guys, Vital Germain Sunday. I am grateful for a lot of things. Today I'm particularly grateful because I was a guest author to read and have a chat for Dime of Grinds. It's a part of the Henderson Writers Group, and they gave me the privilege to share the virtual stage with two other phenomenal authors. And beyond the honor to share the book, it was also very cool to reconnect with some old author friends who helped me along my journey, because any story of success, of growth, of achievement always involves people on the periphery, or sometimes smack in the middle, who help you, who give you tools to take yourself to the next level. But anyway, I talked about two of my six books. The first one I quickly shared a little bit about was Flying Without a Net. Now, the strange journey about this book. I wrote this book, the original version, over 6 years ago. It took me like 6 years to write, but it was finally published about 6 years ago. And at the time that I wrote it, I was in a completely different space, and it was predominantly about life in Cirque du Soleil and the amazing experience of things that happened backstage, and living in this ridiculous world of amazing talent and amazing death-defying feats, and what that all felt like. But the meat of the book has now become incredibly relevant, significant. And at the time that I wrote the book, I lived still in the dark shadows of my own shame and guilt in regards to sexual abuse, in regards to racism, and at the time I struggled to write this book because all these topics are taboo. Here we are many years later, and at the forefront of social conversation, of uncomfortable conversation, are both those topics. Racism, and more painfully for me, is the journey of sexual abuse. Now, the thing about abuse, or sexual abuse, in fact abuse in any form, you would be surprised as to the amount of adults who have been abused in their lives. 1 in 4 children are sexually abused by the age of 16. But that doesn't include the emotional abuse that happens in relationships. That doesn't include the emotional abuse in terms of gay rights, in terms of sexism. There's all these different levels of abuse, and the common factor with those abuses the common factor is this: those who have been abused are almost condemned to shame, guilt, and silence. We become quiet. We are afraid to speak out because we are afraid that we are going to be further shamed. We already feel dirty enough as it is, and then we keep quiet. And there's kind of like this revolution going on where all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it is all being exposed. There is so much abuse, and I hope that it continues. And so I rebranded this book. The message is the same, but before the focus was on, the achievement, Cirque du Soleil, I live my American dream. Now this book is so much more relevant and significant into what's happening. The subtitle changed as I did the rebrand. The true story of a boy who turns pain into purpose. We all have trials and tribulations. The romantic objective of going through your trials is leveraging that experience and leveraging that pain, overcoming, and then hopefully sharing your story, which enables others to, one, not feel alone. #you are not alone. If you have experienced abuse in any way, shape, or form, you are not alone. Find the courage to share the experience, to expose those who have violated you. That's step number 1. Dig deep and find the courage. Shed the shame. Come out and tell the truth. Not necessarily on an open forum like social media, but go to authorities, disclose, reveal those people. Because a part of the reason why predators, get away with what they get away with is because they instill such fear and shame, knowing that their victims are going to keep quiet, therefore keeping them safe from experiencing justice or karma. So own your story. in terms of owning your story, there's this beautiful thing that happens when you are able to purge, exercise your demons, and share it with the world. You then feel empowered because the shame, the guilt has been set free. And then you will realize that people will come to your support because they too have experienced that, or they will reach out to you and say, thank you for being my voice. That is the beautiful, poetic justice that comes when you expose your truth. So again, thank you to the Henderson Writers Group for allowing me to share the rebranded version of this book, Flying Without a Net. It was a bestseller. It still is a bestseller. Nothing has changed. But I'm really focusing now on the deeper meaning behind the book, rather than just, welcome, mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue au Cirque du Soleil, ooh la la, which is fantastic. But current events in the world are much more important than something that I achieved. And then the other book that I was able to share, which is a much more poetic, soft story, 3 Simple Steps. It's a very short, childlike book about the journey of a young boy called Joel, who discovers 3 simple steps in a diary that his teacher shares with him, and it changes his life. This one you'll read in about 20 minutes. This one, according to reviews, you might be tempted to not put it down and read it in one sitting. But anyway, I am grateful for that opportunity today. What are you grateful for?